Hey, how's it going, guys? Drakilia here. Welcome back to another episode of Sorceress High School. This is episode number 3, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about engages. Don't forget to like and subscribe if it helps you in any way, shape, or form. With all that said, let's get going with the video. So when we talk about engages as a sword, it depends on if it's a 1v1, 1v2, 3, 4, and so on. It is also a very difficult thing to cover given that engages will greatly depend on your playstyle. Some people will engage differently than others, but some key pointers to engages that I personally use are asking myself a couple questions like, am I going to survive if I push? Do I have certain skills of cooldown? Do I have an escape plan or a V up? Some of these questions are the ones I ask myself before going into a ball or into any PvP situation. Keep in mind that this often happens in an instant. Your survivability will heavily rely on whether or not you can think and decide fast. So having quick reflexes and keeping an eye on stuff as quick as possible is going to greatly affect the outcome of the situation. As an example, in some of my videos, you can see that I sometimes back up and start going left to right using my linger frontal guard. This has a purpose. This is not just me randomly doing it. In those couple sessions that I do that, the transition of going into my linger frontal guard, that exact moment is when I take the second to evaluate my options. I start to see what skills I have of cooldown, what can I do, if I have a V up, if not, what class am I going to against, is it one or more players, should I make the first move, should I bait the player or players, and so on. With all that said though, I believe the proper way to engage is something that you will develop on your own while you play the game and get into what eventually will become your playstyle, your own unique playstyle, which is gonna be totally different from everybody else. As a simple example, one sword player can try engaging using Blaze of Darkness. Another one can use Engulfing Shadow. It all really depends on your playstyle and how you like to approach certain situations. Key things to remember is number 1, ask yourself questions about what you have of cooldown, on cooldown, is your V up or not? Do you have Black Spirit Rage up? Can you do 50% BSR if you go in? What class are you facing? Number 2 is something that might be common sense to someone, or you might already do it. Look around, not at your character. If you play zoom in, it's fine, or zoom out, doesn't really matter. Just look at your surroundings. Don't look at your character, and also look at your opponent. Stay protected. Whatever you do, trade super armor, frontal guard, try as much as you can to stay protected. Use protected skills unless you are really 100% sure that you can pull an unprotected skill off. Learn when to back away. That's also very important. If you're greatly outmatched, if you're not dropping enough damage, don't stay in. Like, go back, reconsider your options, wait for cooldowns to go off, and then maybe try again or buff up and go in. Don't be afraid to improvise, either a combo or something else. In my opinion, what makes it really difficult to recommend a combo for someone, at least as a Zorg, is that you never know what's gonna be the CC that you get your opponent with. Maybe you have like 3 skills off cooldown, and then one of those skills is actually one that you need for the combo, and then you won't be able to do it. Kind of forcing yourself to improvise. That's why it's important to learn your skills too, or at least the basics ones that you will be dropping a bit of damage with, which would be Shadow Eruption, Shadow Ignition, Engulfing Shadow, Dream of Doom, Bloody Calamity, Grim Reaper Judgment, Turnback Slash. You can use Karch and Sniper too now. Be careful on that one, don't get grabbed. Now we can use also the new skill, Soul Reaper. It's hard to demonstrate this stuff because it changes from fight to fight. It's never the same. With that said, I'll go over a couple skills, or at least some of the skills that I use and how I use them to engage on people or to try and get closer and engage and basically get the kill. So a couple skills that I like to use to engage is Dream of Doom. This is mostly the one that I use when your opponent's in range. I usually like to insta cast it, so if it's off cooldown, then I make sure if either my opponent is far away, then I do it. If it's too close, then I don't do it. Or if I know that he can get close to me really quick, I usually don't risk it that much. It depends on the fight. So let's say you get the CC when you do the Dream of Doom. What you do after, you'll have to capitalize on it really quickly. The CC on Dream of Doom is pretty short, so you have to be quick with it. Otherwise you won't be able to do nothing and you have to back away and retry again. What I usually do when I get the CC with Dream of Doom, I usually use Russian Crow, then Shadow Leap if it's too far away, which you probably will if you're doing it in range. And then I use Violation to capitalize on the CC. It's gonna look something like this. It happens really quickly, so you have to make really sure that you get your opponent CC'd. I usually look to the side when I'm framing, but that's just habit. You can use WW, which is basically the same thing. If you're used to it, then use it your own way. It's gonna work the same. Here's with WW. Pretty much the same, and you're more straight. That was also good if you like that. I don't really mind it. I know where I'm going, so even if I go a bit to this side, I'll end up in the same spot. That's just habit. You use whatever you feel comfortable with. You don't have to strictly follow what I do. When it comes to more than one person, I tend to just use WW to get like right in the middle or behind them and try to get a CC that way. When using the WW, keep in mind that you don't want to be too far away. You don't want to start using your WW iframe too far away because you run out of stamina when you get there. So at least leave a generous distance, like not too close, not too far. At least that you have like half your stamina when you get there. Just keep that in mind. Once you drop a couple skills like Rabam skills and stuff, stamina is gonna regen a bit, so you'll have more than half, which will help you get away safely. So those are kind of the main two ways that I like to engage. They're not the best, they could be better. You can always improve. They sometimes work, sometimes they don't work. Sometimes I get rubber band and I died. It depends when the game likes you or not, I guess. Keep in mind that when you're close to your opponent, like about here, maybe here, I say the max around here, you want to keep iframing instead of like doing lingers or midnight stinger or something like that. You want to keep iframing when you're really close to them. You just gotta be safe. And in the midst of the iframes, that's when you want to do your skills. Iframe skill, iframe skill. So kind of like iframe, shower eruption, iframe again. Keep an eye out. If you get the CC, stop wasting your other skills. Just go straight into some combo that you know, or try to drop as much damage as you can. Just as a quick thing, if you get them with shadow eruption, you can follow up with shadow ignition and then go into Green Reaper. Those three skills should drop a bit of damage. Keep what I said in mind. When you're close to your opponent, iframe skill, iframe skill. When you're far away, you could try Dream of Doom and see if you get the CC. Remember to, if it's instant cast Dream of Doom, you have to capitalize really quickly because the stun is out really fast, so they can move. If you're on Awakening, then you can use Shadow Leap. You can even use Nightmare. But that's gonna take a bit of time, so I wouldn't really recommend it, but as a last resort, you can use it. So yeah, that's kind of it when it comes to engages. It really depends on the situation that you're in, how many people you're fighting, stuff like that. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment with anything. Let me know if I left anything out, or if you have any other questions. Feel free to ask. This might be a shorter one than I expected, and there's a lot of talking involved, but hopefully you learned something. Take care. See you soon.